"Relax," he said, smiling at the table like nothing had happened. "You're reading too much into it again." The restaurant was loud that night. Glasses clinked. Someone nearby laughed too hard. But the words he had sent another woman were still glowing on my phone under the table. I looked at him for a long second. Then I locked the screen and said quietly, "You're right, I probably am." My sister squeezed my hand under the table. She had seen the messages too. And in that moment, everyone thought the situation was over. They didn't know that night would become the first line of a story that would change who I was. And if you've ever trusted someone after they hurt you once, you'll understand why that moment mattered. If stories about quiet strength and real-life turning points speak to you, you might want to subscribe now. Most people who find this channel stay because these stories feel a little too familiar, because the truth is, that dinner wasn't the end of the problem. It was only the beginning. The first time he betrayed me, I convinced myself it was a mistake, not a pattern. We had been together 4 years. We shared rent, routines, and the same morning coffee shop. People around us thought we were stable, predictable. So when I saw those messages the first time, I didn't explode. I listened. He said they were harmless, just jokes, just someone from work. And the strange part is, he didn't even sound nervous. He sounded calm, confident, like he had already decided what the truth should be. I remember sitting on our couch that night while rain hit the window. "I'll fix it," he said, and I believed him, not because the evidence disappeared, but because I wanted to believe people could change. So I rebuilt trust slowly. No dramatic speeches, no threats, just quiet observation. At first, things seemed better. He became more attentive, more careful, almost overly thoughtful. Flowers showed up one random Tuesday. He started asking how my day was again, and for a while I allowed myself to relax. But looking back now, there was something strange about that calm. It felt rehearsed, and I didn't realize that detail would matter later. The second escalation started months after that dinner. It was small at first, little comments. "You're still thinking about that? You need to let things go." He said them casually, almost gently, but each time the message underneath was the same. Your memory is the problem, not my behavior. One night we were at a friend's birthday gathering, a crowded apartment with music and cheap wine. Someone joked about relationships and loyalty. He laughed and wrapped his arm around my shoulder. "She's the jealous type," he told them. Everyone chuckled. I smiled politely, but something inside me went quiet because I had never told anyone about the messages, which meant he had turned my silence into a story about me. That realization sat with me for weeks, and I still didn't react. Not yet. Instead, I started paying attention to patterns. Times he guarded his phone, moments he stepped outside to answer calls, small changes in routine, and at first, none of it was obvious. But then something happened that shifted everything. One evening, he left his laptop open on the kitchen counter. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just making tea. But a notification popped up on the screen, a name I didn't recognize. The message preview was short. Last night was worth the risk. I didn't touch the computer. I didn't scroll. I just stood there for a moment, letting the sentence exist. Because suddenly the past year made perfect sense. That calm confidence, those rehearsed apologies, the way he had slowly turned the story into my insecurity. And in that quiet kitchen, I realized something that changed everything. The first betrayal had been a mistake I forgave. The second one was a pattern he expected me to tolerate. That was the mini-climax moment. The moment the fog cleared, and strangely, I still didn't confront him. not immediately, because once you see the full picture, reacting too quickly ruins the truth. Instead, I waited. 2 weeks later, we attended a small dinner with mutual friends, the same kind of social setting where he liked to control the narrative. Halfway through the evening, someone asked how we had managed to stay together so long. He smiled. "We're just really honest with each other," he said. That line almost made me laugh. Almost. Then he added something else, and she's learned not to overreact. A few people nodded politely. That's when I finally spoke, calmly. "I think honesty matters too," I said. The table quieted slightly. I reached into my bag and placed a folded printed page beside my glass. I hadn't said anything dramatic, but the room shifted because people sense when a moment becomes serious. He looked at the paper. "What's that?" "Just something I found," I said. Still calm, still quiet. I didn't accuse him. I didn't raise my voice. I simply turned the page toward him. The printed messages from his laptop conversation sat there in black and white. No explanations needed. The silence at the table stretched longer than anyone expected. He read the first line, then the second, and for the first time in our entire relationship, he didn't have a rehearsed response. Someone across the table slowly put their drink down. Another friend looked away because the truth had arrived without shouting. He finally cleared his throat. "This isn't what it looks like," I nodded slightly. "That's what you said the first time. No anger, no dramatic speech, just that sentence. And strangely, that calmness made the moment heavier than any argument could have, because everyone understood what had happened. The person who had once framed me as jealous was now explaining messages he couldn't deny. The social reversal was complete. But the most important shift didn't happen at that table. It happened inside me. I realized something simple. Forgiveness is powerful. But forgiveness without boundaries teaches people how to repeat the same mistake. That night, I didn't storm out. I didn't create a scene. I finished my drink, said goodnight to our friends, and walked home alone. And the strange thing is, I didn't feel broken. I felt clear, because the second betrayal didn't destroy me. It revealed the version of me that finally understood my own limits. If you were in that position, what would you have done when the second betrayal appeared? Would you have confronted it immediately or waited until the truth revealed itself? I'm curious what you think. Months have passed since that dinner. He tried calling a few times in the beginning, then the calls stopped. People sometimes ask if I regret giving him that second chance, and honestly, I don't. Because that second betrayal taught me something the first one never could. The difference between hope and self-respect. Hope believes people will change. Self-respect decides what happens if they don't. And sometimes the moment that hurts the most becomes the moment you finally meet the stronger version of yourself. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who might need the reminder. And if you enjoy quiet, real stories about resilience and turning points, you're always welcome here for the next one.